how does a volunteerist come through you?
They look at my website, and there's a section there about visits and what is involved, that they have to call us to make an appointment, gives details of how to get here and what is involved before they can get through the gates. I mean, we have things like no photographs of the children unless you are an actual sponsor of a child or you have permission from us. We say, please do not pick up the children, because if you could imagine if you had 3 buses of tourists through a day, how disturbing it would be for all my little beautiful little kids to be picked up and petted and stroked like an animal. Right. So we do say, please don't pick up the children. You can talk to them, you can watch them in their classes, but no picking up.
Let's talk about the children that you have. You know these children by heart?
Yes, I do. I mean, we have children that have been physically and sexually abused. We've had 2 girls that have been brutally attacked with acid burns and are terribly, terribly disfigured. We have children that have been brought to us by the local police from domestic violence situations. We have trafficked children from Thailand, Cambodian children that have been sold into Thailand, into begging rings, prostitution, slave labour, and begging rings, those 3 areas. And every few months the Thai immigration police have a big crackdown, and they arrest all the children that are seen to be Cambodians and in begging rings or other kinds of illegal activities, and they put them in the immigration prison in Thailand. The International Office of Migration intervenes and gets the children sent back to Cambodia and rehabilitated into centres like ours that the International Office of Migration choose for them to go to.
How confident are you that the children that are being brought to you are actually legitimate cases? Because as we know, Cambodia hasn't had the greatest track record.
No, we have a system where if a family or a mother brings a child to the gate and says, will you take my child, we send one of our caseworkers back to her village with her on the spot. At the village, the caseworker talks to the neighbours, any family like grandparents that might be in the village, and they talk to the commune leader and the monks to find out the true story, because 3 times out of 10 it's a made-up story. And when the caseworker goes back to the village and they're shown some little banana leaf hovel, and then the neighbours say, no, Mr. Ting doesn't live there. That's his house over there with the cable TV and the car out the front. And then we say to these families, why don't you want to look after your own children? And a lot of them say because they can't discipline them, or they're naughty and they don't go to school, or they're sick and they don't want to take care of them. And we say, I'm sorry, you have the financial means to take care of your children. We are only here for the vulnerable of the vulnerable, and that's not you, I'm sorry. That happens about 3 times out of 10. But when we have cases also, a woman in the provinces is totally insane and has to be chained up like a dog in the cowshed and, given her food like a dog, like an animal. And there is no services at all here for people with mental problems. And she untied herself and ran through the village naked. She just tears her clothes off all the time. And of course somebody took advantage of her and raped her, and she certainly can't take care of the child, neither can the grandparents. So we have taken that child and we've gone back with caseworkers to research the story and found that it was true. So this is not a country for you to ever wish to be disabled in.
Exactly.
We've got kids with cerebral palsy, meningitis, polio, TB, hepatitis B, brittle bone disease, Asperger's, retinitis pigmentosa, or I've got a boy going blind. This country has not yet got to a stage where it can take care of its needy.
Talk about the mental state of the children that you have under you. You brought up the woman that was mentally, I'm assuming, legally insane.
She's legally insane, but they don't have a legally insane check here. If she wasn't tied up, she would just run naked through the streets. So the family has to tie her up. And she doesn't eat with a spoon and a fork. They put the food down and she eats from the plate like an animal. And there are institutions in the Western world that have people that are that badly affected from mental problems.
What about the children under your care? Their psychological well-being and all that. How do you assess that?
Yeah, well, the kids with meningitis and cerebral palsy are mentally challenged, and the girl with cerebral palsy goes to school, but she's 13 and only in grade 1, and there's a limited extent to how long she can be educated. So we have children like her that will be with us forever and will never be able to go out into society. But we do have other children that are just showing difficult behaviour, and only just in the last 12 months has there been a Western psychologist open up a clinic here with Cambodian interpreters where we can take children that are behaving badly and have them assessed and counselled. And we've sent about 3 of our children there. And that is working because they've chosen their Khmer staff very, very wisely. But that's just one centre in the whole of the country. Buddhists here and in Asia, I don't know about where you're from, but in Asia, and Buddhists generally do not like to say bad things about their family. They think it's being disloyal, and they don't like to talk about bad things in their life. So it's going to take another generation to have people who want to be counselled, who want to get that kind of help. And it's just started to happen now, and some of our kids are benefiting from that counselling.
Has there been any case or cases in which you turned a child away? Yes, we have a system here of 3 really breaches of behaviour and you're out. That's bringing alcohol ill, stealing more than 3 times, and being on drugs. So on the 3rd time that these kids offend, they're given written warnings and they admit to what they're doing, and after the 3rd warning, we say to them, the next time you offend, we'll have to send you to another orphanage. And I'm talking about maybe 6 or 7 children all up. Once they've been told that if they offend again, they'll be sent to another orphanage, they've taken it upon themselves to run away. Oh.
We're talking about 5 or 6 children out of 200. Drugs, alcohol, and stealing.
So 5 out of 200? It's pretty...
It's not bad.
Right. But the trauma of going from orphanage to orphanage...
Of course, they wouldn't want to do that. No.
Right.
And those orphanages, when they get the history from us, are unlikely to take them also. These are kids in their teens, in all cases. They're over 13, the ones that are front of them.
What's the youngest that you have in your under your watch?
3-month-old baby has been abandoned at a hospital in Siem Reap. Yeah. And
Tell me about he or she. What's this 2-month-old baby's story?
Just a baby brought in by rural farmers, and he was treated by the hospital and had respiratory tract problems, but then after 14 days, the family did not come to pick him up. And what happens with these families, it's not a lack of love that makes them abandon them. They get told by the doctor, okay, your child's got this disorder and it's going to cost $10 a month for the medication, say. And these families can't afford the medication, so they decide to abandon the baby, hoping that someone like us will come along and look after him and pay the $10 a month for his medication. So these are the kinds of reasons why families do children, because they're hoping somebody will come along and give them a better life. A lot of the children that do come to us from the hospitals have got fatal diseases or disorders and will die, and the family can't afford the cost of a cremation. So we take the children, and sometimes 3 or 4 months later they die, and we give them proper Buddhist funerals.
Okay, what you're describing to me says a lot about Cambodia's social services, or for the lack of thereof.
Lack of thereof, yeah.
What do you say about private looking after these kids instead of the government?
Well, the government is trying its best, I really do believe. They've got now all these centres, including mine, have to have a child protection policy that's registered with them and approved by them. And what they've started to do in the last 3 years is have, through the Ministry of Social Affairs, they have an investigation every year of every orphanage, and every orphanage has to maintain minimum standards. And if they don't, they get closed down, and the children are sent to other orphanages that have minimum standards. So that at least is something that the ministry is choosing to be more involved in the centres here to see what they do and report back. We get gradings. The first year that the investigation was put in place, we came first in the Siem Reap province, and in Phnom Penh, where we have a lot more competition, we came third out of something like 600 orphanages. So we're pretty happy with those kinds of results and the standing that we have in the Ministry of Social Affairs.
What about the Ministry of Tourism? Is there any role at all? Because they are directly, or it is directly being impacted by this influx of tourists that are coming through the country.
Yes, well, I don't know that there's anything being done by the Ministry of Tourism to improve things, but what they are doing is giving young people who have got bachelor degrees in tourism and hospitality jobs, and that's something.
So there isn't anything that you know of a specific program at the moment by the Ministry of Tourism?
There's nothing that I know of, but then again, I don't have a lot of contact with the Ministry of Tourism, so you maybe should talk to somebody from the Ministry of Tourism to see if I'm being a little unkind here. It's just that I don't know of any program that they have.
Do you think they should have a program?
Yes. I think Ministry for Education should have a program also.
It seems like you're in a position to create a discourse about this matter. What are you doing to... do you think that is something that you could spearhead, perhaps?
Well, I would like to think I'd have the energy to do it, but I'm 68, I've got cancer, I've got a heart condition, I have to raise $1 million a year to look after my project, and I just can't stretch myself any further. In a perfect world, there should be people out there spearheading these kinds of things with the government, but because of the conditions I just gave you that I'm in, I'm not in a position to do it.
You just admitted to that you have cancer, and yet you're in a third world country. Do you have the proper care in that situation?
I go to Bangkok for treatment, and the rest of the time I just take medication here.
I don't mean to be intrusive, but is it something that you want to divulge?
I had a double mastectomy. I had breast cancer, and I lost both breasts 4 years ago. And I've got 1 more year to go on the cancer medication, and at the end of November next year, hopefully I get the all clear sign. But I certainly don't have any symptoms, and I didn't have to have chemo or radiation, but I've still technically got cancer and have to have treatment.
Well, that's unfortunate to hear. I hope that works out well for you. Upon browsing your website, I did see that girl that you were holding on to. She's wearing purple. Tell me about her.
Wearing purple. Can you refresh my memory, because I have a lot of pictures on the website.
You're literally holding on to her. She's the only one that's in the center of the picture.
No, I'm sorry. I'd have to have more information than that, because I take photographs of the children.
I thought there was a personal connection there, so I thought.
Oh God, there's personal connection with every one of them, and I hug and kiss and cuddle the kids every day, which is in the outside world considered politically incorrect. But these children need touch, they need to be loved, they need to be kissed, and so I do that every day. And I had some reporter through here some time ago that said to me, Ms. Cox, do you have any favourites? And I said, yes, of course I have favourites. I said, my favourites are the ones that are sitting on my lap when you ask me. Yeah.
Very good answer. Let's move on here. Let's talk about your staff. What kind of, obviously they're handling orphans.
Yeah.
This is a special situation. What kind of schooling or training do they have to go through?
My management staff all have bachelor degrees, and some of them have management degrees in masters in education and management. The country is now turning out some really, really high quality professional young people, and all of our management staff have bachelor's and master's degrees. But when you get down to the cooks, some of them are illiterate and have been through the whole Pol Pot era and see their work as cooks here as their life, and that we are part of their family. The house parents, the mothers and the house fathers that we select to look after 10 children in a group, because we live in a rural area, we can't get really highly educated people. Most of our house parents haven't finished primary school. But you don't have to finish primary school to be a loving mother. So we like to also have a good relationship with the village that we have right next to us. So whenever we can, we employ a house mother or a house father from the village. We have them to get police checks, and they live with us, they eat with us, and they get a decent salary as well. We have teachers that are qualified in computers, English, music and dance, agriculture, and also Western music training and sport. But all our staff have to undergo an assessment and a local police clearance once again.
Okay, Geraldine, I'd have to correct you on this because, I need an update from you on this because your website does say that you only have 14 staff members. And if you're looking at...
No, sorry. We've got like 89 staff members now.
Right. Your website needs updating then.
Okay, I must do something to update that because we've got like 89 now.
I saw 2 caseworkers.
Is that under? Can you give me the heading that was under on the website?
Certainly, it's under staff.
Okay, maybe that was. I just gave the 14 stories of some staff, and I gave names and the staff wrote their stories. I think that might be just the staff we chose to put on the website to give their stories. But if that's misled you, it will mislead others. So I'll get that updated straight away. Yeah.